And it's just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Jolie Lieb, all the way from Milan, Italy. She's third generation in the dental field with springhealthproducts.com. Jolie Lieb is a third generation in the dental equipment manufacturing business and grew up going to the factory and to dental shows and knowing innovative dental people in dentistry her whole life, especially having grown up in Philadelphia area where there are several dental schools. Her grandfather started Star Dental, and I remember that. I graduated 30 years ago. And her father, Nathanial Lieb, built Star into one of the early high-speed handpiece companies and perfected the electroplating process for diamond burrs. Spring diamonds were one of the first single-use diamonds. He later sold Star and started Spring Health Products with her brother, Alex Lieb, who is currently the president and also works on development. Spring Health Products is a family business located in Norristown, Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia, who just won the Super Bowl. Spring Health Products manufactures diamond dental burrs, LED curing lights, and Lab Rotary, and sells with almost all the dealers in the U.S., including Schein, Patterson, Benco, Burkhart, Pearson, DHPI, Midwest, and Atlanta Dental. Jolie started out working in a completely different career, first working at Christie's, the auction house, then moving to London and going to graduate school in London at London School of Economics and working at the law firm Skadden Arps and Capital Markets. Even though Jolie did not work for Spring Health Products, she always kept her foot in the door. She always worked at the shows, especially the international ones. When Nathanial Lieb passed away, Jolie decided to join Springs Health. She continues to live between Philadelphia and Milan, Italy, and works in sales and marketing. So how did that Super Bowl victory work for you?
Oh, that was so exciting. I was actually in Philadelphia right before it happened, and everybody in the factory wore their shirts for 2 weeks. They wore a different Eagles shirt every day. So it was really, we were very excited. Well, it was a lot of fun.
Well, my team wasn't in, but I was voting for the Eagles because Howard Goldstein, the dentist in charge of the message board, lives in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. He's the most diehard Eagles fan. It was the last thing on his sports bucket list he ever wanted was for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl. So I was rooting for them. I seriously didn't think they could pull it off.
And I didn't think you could either. We were thrilled. So everybody was thrilled. And I actually had to leave because I was doing a show in Dubai. So I wasn't able to see the game. So I had to. I woke up every couple hours in the middle of the night to check the score.
So, are diamonds truly a girl's best friend?
Definitely. Well, they're a dentist's best friend. They're something that they all need, and there's a big difference between all the diamonds. So that's sort of something maybe people didn't know. There's a huge difference, and there are different types of diamonds.
Well, just to my homies out there, I don't do commercials. She did not contact me. I contacted her. There's no money exchange hands here. I just thought, it's a beautiful American story. I mean, when you hear of a third-generation family business making your diamonds here, I just wanted to bring you on the show. But, dentists, we use diamond burrs. But I don't think any dentist out there knows how to make a diamond burr, and I don't think a dentist could give a 5-minute lecture on the different types of manufacturing process. But why? But you don't think all diamonds are the same. What makes spring diamond burrs different?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about our company. We're one of the few companies that actually manufactures diamond burrs in the United States. There's abrasive technology, which makes the two-striper diamond, which I'll tell you a little bit about, which is a little bit of a different type of diamond, and everybody else produces offshore. So we're one of the few, and we refuse to go offshore. So we're still here, and we've been doing it for a long time. So we're sort of a company that's under the radar because we're still a small family-owned company, but we have really, really nice quality products, and we'd love for everybody to try them. But what makes them different? There are two different types of processes to make diamond burrs. There's brazing, which is made in an oven, and they're very, very, very expensive, and those are pretty much the strongest types of diamonds, so the diamond's never going to come off. And then there's electroplated diamond burrs, and that's about 99% of the diamond burrs in the world are electroplated. But there's a huge variety of diamonds, and there's a huge difference in the quality of the diamonds because of the materials they use and because of the plating processes. So I can tell you what makes our diamonds different, or what's the difference in the diamonds. So basically, a diamond burr, it's a shank of stainless steel, and there's all different qualities of stainless steel, and this stainless steel can be it can be cut different ways. So they're done on big machines, these giant machines, this stainless steel tubing, and there's different strengths of tubing that different companies use. And we use 420 stainless steel, which is the strongest stainless steel, so you're not going to have any bending in the burr. And we heat treat it, and that's really important because then you're not going to get any warping either, and you're not going to get any vibration and chatter. So that's pretty much what all the high-end diamond burrs are made of, this 420 stainless steel. And then there's different then there's diamonds, and there's synthetic diamonds, which a lot of the really cheap Chinese burrs are using synthetic diamonds, whereas the high-end companies use real diamonds. But then there's different shapes of the diamonds and different grits, and these different shapes and different grits are difficult to plate. So for example, the plating process is really difficult and to get it perfect. So the very big grits, so your super coarse and your coarse, are much harder to plate than, for example, the fine or the extra fine. And some companies say that they're making a super coarse when really they're making a coarse because it's easier to plate. And also there are different shapes of the little diamond particles. And we use a blocky diamond particle, which makes a very fast cut, but other companies might use a different particle. So this is all going to affect the cut of the diamond. And the main aim is to have a fast cut, because a fast cut is going to mean less heat, and then less heat means less trauma to the tooth. So what every dentist wants to feel is that their diamond burr is cutting super fast with little heat and no chatter and no vibration. And one other part about the plating process that's really important is that you don't want the diamond to go too deep when they're plating it, because you don't want any bald spots on the diamond burr. And if there's bald spots, you're going to get more heat and you're going to have less surface to cut, less surface that's cutting the tooth, and therefore you're also going to get a slower cut. So there are all these little tiny things that are so important to make a good diamond. And so buying a cheap diamond burr doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get, it's not exactly something you want in your mouth. You really want a quality diamond in your mouth to have a good fast cut.
So I want to. The first thing that always crosses my mind when I'm using a diamond is, are they real diamonds, or is that a huge expense for you? Or are they zirconia, cubic zirconia, fake diamonds, or? We use all natural diamonds. So all the good diamond companies will use all natural diamonds, and what they are is they're industrial diamonds. So they're a byproduct of, when you're cutting they're cutting a diamond ring, and the leftover little particles, that's called industrial diamond. So it's actually all natural diamond, and they're sold by special companies that sell industrial diamonds. Is it for cutting.
You can buy it from De Beers, but there are lots of different companies. And then this diamond, it comes in you can buy it in all different grits and all different shapes. So we buy a blocky shape, but there's all different ones. And the diamond is so expensive that it comes in a little jar. It looks gray, so it's not all sparkly. That if we make a mistake or there's defects, we take the diamond off the burr, and reuse it. And then we have to send it back to the company, and they sift it, and they get it back into, so you have the right grains.
Well, you're highly educated. I mean, you have an economics degree from the
Yeah.
London School of Economics. I mean, I have an MBA from Arizona State University. I don't think that competes with the London School of Economics. But isn't the price of diamonds completely artificial because of the De Beers monopoly? Because we always hear from scientists with PhDs that diamonds are abundant in nature, but the price is only
Well,
high because of monopolistic.
but these are industrial diamonds, so the price does vary, but the price is nothing compared to like the diamonds that are used for jewelry or things like that. They're they're industrial. They're used for a lot of things. Industrial diamonds, like our company, we also have a part that we do diamond technology for other people. So some other dental companies, which I can't really tell you which ones, if, for example, they have scalers that are diamond coated, they send them to us and we diamond coat them. So the diamonds are used for a lot. They're also used for cutting marble, for cutting.
If you use fake cubic zirconia, would that be cheaper and the same thing?
That's cheaper. That's what most of the Chinese diamonds are made with, the synthetic diamonds. So,
But you don't think they cut as good?
well, sometimes some of them will cut okay for different. It depends on. Some of them are okay, but the best are the natural diamonds.
Well, yeah, so you like the all natural.
Yes.
And I just want to say on the record, I am all natural. A lot of people think I've had a lot of surgery and hair transplants and plugs and everything, and I am completely all natural. I am not
Nope.
synthetic. I want to tell you, I want to hear more about your side, but I wanted to get you on this show. The main reason I want to get you on the show is I want to tell you our side of the problem with diamonds. And you know what that is?
Tell me.
The problem is that, when your dad started Star Dental, every dentist had his own place. They all practiced alone. Every pharmacist had their own place. And then the pharmacists consolidated into Walgreens and CVS. Well, now group practice is exploding. I mean, it's really exploding. And when you're trying to control, when you're trying to put order and systems into an office, it's pretty easy to get 3 or 4 dentists in a group practice, let's say 2 or 3 dentists in a group practice, to agree on a type of gloves or a bonding agent or a lot of things. But everyone in group, what drives the assistants crazy is the burs, because this dentist, I mean, you can't even go into a group practice and say, can we just agree on 5 different burs for a filling and 5 for a crown? And I get it because I'm a dentist. I mean, there's just stuff I have to have. And it's crazy. And I've talked to Rick Workman, who owns 800 dental offices, and he says the burr issue is insanity. Steve Thorne has, I think 400 offices. And, all these people, it drives them crazy. But you know what I think the genius solution would be?
What?
It drives the assistants insane to try to get your burrs on. So if you put too many burrs on, and the dentist doesn't use them, you still got to autoclave all those burrs, and that dulls them, correct?
No, not necessarily. What dulls them is using them a lot of times.
But so you're saying the autoclave does not dull them?
No, that just sterilizes them.
So it doesn't. I always assumed autoclaving carbide. What about carbides?
Carbides, I'm not an expert in carbides, so I don't really know. We make some laboratory carbides, but they're not used in the mouth, so.
Because what I thought would be great is to be able to go into my office and tell the assistants, when you set up the room for a filling or a crown or root canal, you're not in charge of the burrs. So when you're a dentist and you're looking at the schedule and you're going into room 8 to do a crown, you would just stop by and there'd be a single-use dispenser with the name of each burr, and then you could just sit there and say, okay, here's the 5 I need, ding, 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 and you set up your own burrs. And if someone can, like a Dr. Scholl's foot deal, or if somebody came out with an actual dispenser, a wall hanger, so it wouldn't even take up shelf space, and an easy dispenser where you just push a button, and the burr would come out. Then the assistants could keep all
Oh,
their
we could
hair. They'd get off Xanax. They wouldn't have to drink liquor after work. They wouldn't have to go to happy hour and drink 2 margaritas because it is crazy. And then when you're in the middle of a filling or a crown or a root canal, and you say, "Hand me this," and she's got to take off her gloves, get up, open a drawer, pull out a, it's crazy. And I think the dentist. I don't think anybody should leave the room once the procedure starts. I wouldn't want to be in the middle of a bypass and every 5 minutes the doctor asks for something and the nurse has to leave the room to go get another instrument. I mean, know what you're doing. But I think from an operations logistics point of view, a burr dispenser that was easy, or I could just go there, ding, 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 and now those are the 5 burrs I need for a crown.
Yeah, we could try to that. Some people make the little drawers, but the little drawers that you have to go in and pick it out. The little dispenser is a good idea, but then it's always a problem because maybe one dentist in the office wants one type of one company's burrs, and then they want another, and then they want a different grit, and so it is a little bit difficult.
Well, they got to compromise. I mean, they just have to compromise because the one thing they can't have is they can't have their supplies jumping all around from 5, 6, 7, 8%, and you can't control your cost, your order. It's like it's like Southwest Airlines. They're the lowest cost airline because every single plane is the same. It's a 737. So everybody knows how to fly it. Everybody knows how to fix it. They have all the parts for it. But when you go to American Airlines, where they got 727, 737, 747s, Airbuses, McDonnell Douglas, L10, it's crazy. And so in a dental operatory, the fastest way to raise quality and make everything faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost is to set up every operatory exactly the same. It wouldn't matter if it's for a hygienist. So when you're in that room, everything you need to do, your filling, crown, cleaning, everything's there. You can sit down, knock it out. Nobody has to leave the room. In fact, I always joke to dentists that every time their assistant has to leave the room, they should get one of those air horns that you see in the Super Bowl game. And when the assistant leaves the room, you should tell the patient, "Hey, cover your ears," and then just lean back and blow that horn until the office manager shows up there and say, "Come on, man, I've done 10,000 fillings. Why did the assistant have to leave the room?" And they'll say, "Oh, well, she needed to get this." Well, that's not my cost. My cost is a 42% reduction from my fee to the insurance PPO fee, 25% labor, 10% lab, 6% supply, 5% facility. I can't stop my operation because my dental assistant's got to go find a burr.
Well, the problem is that everybody, depending on, dentists usually start using the burrs that they started in dental school, and every dental school teaches somebody with a different technique with a different burr. So different parts of the country, the different shapes will sell better because it's depending on where they went to dental school. So if you have an office filled with people who went to different schools, they're going to use a different shape for a different technique. So that's one thing. Then in the beginning, dentists start using the burrs that they used in school, and they usually are one of the giant companies like Brasseler who gives the school the burrs for free, so they only know those. But then they start wanting to experiment after a couple of years with different brands, and then it's fun because it's like a mechanic. You get to use different tools, so you get to have different drill bits. So
you know what dental school I went to?
Which one?
I actually bought my dental degree on eBay.
No, you didn't.
I did. I bought my dental degree, my Eagle Scout, and my black belt. Three for $9.99.
Oh wow!
Is that amazing? Now you make burrs. You make diamond burrs.
We make LED pure lights too, but diamonds we're known for more.
So what is the top 5 selling diamond burrs for dentists?
Well, the top one for sure is 285.5, the football.
Oh yeah, 285.5.
The football.
Well, that's not true. That's not true, because that football is the Eagles use a football like that, but football in Brazil is round.
Oh, that's true. And
Yeah,
in
and so
Italian too.
90% of all footballs are round soccer balls.
You're right.
Only
I
Americans call that shape of football.
You're right. Okay, we could call it occlusional. But did you know in Italy that they have the second most amount of dentists in Europe next to Germany?
Really, how many dentists are in Italy?
I don't know, but I know that there's full of dentists, the second most amount next to Germany.
And the most interesting thing about Italy, half the implant companies in the world are in Italy. I think they have 100 different companies making dental implants.
I thought they were in Israel too. That must be the
Yeah,
second one.
Israel has a lot too, but I mean, a lot of people think of, they think of Noble Biocare, they'll think of
Yeah,
Straumann. I mean,
yeah.
Italy has over 100 different implant companies. Have you visited a lot of them or network with a lot of
Well,
them?
I know I visited, I know people from the different companies from going to all the shows, and I visited, mostly I know the distributors because I'm trying to sell my product. And it's funny because Italy, actually all of Europe pretty much is still like America used to be with lots of little family owned small distributors. It hasn't consolidated like America. Even though Schein has bought up the big distributors in most of the countries, like they bought up Krug in Italy, which was the biggest distributor, but the Italians still like buying from their friend who they've been buying for years, and it's like a completely different market than in the U.S.
And what
Although they're starting to get the group practices a lot in Europe, but it's still a ton of small distributors rather than like the giant three in America.
Well, you're from the London School of Economics. What are the pros and cons of having the supply distributors in America pretty much all roll up into probably Patterson does a quarter of the sales, Schein does a quarter of the shell. What do you think of a consolidated supply industry? Does it make it faster, easier, more efficient, or not really, as opposed to small town family business in Italy?
Well, it makes it a lot harder for the manufacturer, that's for sure, because it's almost impossible to get a new product into one of the big guys. And also, your product gets lost because they're carrying a lot of things. And also, you have to spend an awful lot of money with these distributors because they're making money through your advertising too. So it's not that the manufacturers have to pay for advertising with the dental publications, and the key opinion leaders, and they also have to pay Schein, Patterson, and Benco for advertising too.
And
So
they have to put an ad in their catalog, right? They have to pay for that.
the manufacturers have to pay for that, sure. Not the catalog page, no, but you have the flyers that you get every month. The manufacturers pay for those ads, and they pay a lot.
Huh. Well, that's a great segue to my next question. I mean, last year, no, 2 Thanksgivings ago, Amazon had a big booth at the Greater New York meeting in New York City, one of the largest meetings in America, and they were there this year too. And so, millennials, you're not going to believe this, but more Americans have Amazon Prime than have cable television in their house.
Wow.
That is the craziest statistic, and that statistic comes from Professor Galloway at the Stern School of Business in New York City, and I'm a big fan of Professor Scott Galloway. But so are you going to sell direct on Alibaba for China and Amazon?
I think that people still want to buy probably through the big dealers. I think because they still like the relationship with their rep who comes by, and so I mean I think
Well,
that some people.
McDonald's has a drive-through. Some people like to go in and sit down and eat and have their kids playing the ball. Some like to drive through. Why not do both?
Yeah, I think occasionally maybe they will if they. but I think that all the dealers also have everything online too. So then it's just, I think it's easier and then they can call that if they have a problem, with something, they can call their technician. Maybe certain things like like bibs or plastic cups or things like that would be easy. I think for the other things, it's going to be a little bit harder.
So you know.
But I mean, son, you never. They're just like any other dealer, so we could just treat them like another dealer.
I have my dealer on speed dial, but that's a whole nother question. But no, so you don't see really Amazon making a big dent in the U.S. dental supply.
I think that the other companies are really pushing so hard too. So with all their online things, I think it's just going to be all fair competition.
Well, you know what? I got to tell you a historical story. When I started Dental Town, it was in 1998. Amazon started in 1994. And everybody was telling me to sell, that I should monetize Dental Town by selling supplies. And when I started Dental Town, when I saw the internet, what I wanted was that no dentist ever have to practice solo again. I saw this internet as a way to connect all these lonely dentists. I mean, there's only a dentist for every 2,000 people. Nobody gets what we're going through. And I said, Dental Town, no dentist ever practice solo again. And I thought maybe 50 people would sign up. In the first month, 1,000 people signed up. And every month since, 1,000 people or more have signed up. And I don't know what we're at now, like 250, 270. But I think the dealer, because I had the president of 3M Dental on the podcast just a couple days ago, and I asked him about that, and he's about, are you going to sell to Amazon? He said, you know what, nobody's asking us to. No, we don't get any requests to. And I think it's because, again, for the same thing that started Dental Town hasn't changed, that the rep is a connection to the outside world. Like, I don't really, I mean, I know my reps 60,000 SKU items and has never done a filling, root canal, or crown. But I like the connection of like, well, what does Brad Gettleman use? What endophile does he use? And she's connected. And I remember when I was a little kid, when I was 25 down in my office, every time I asked Al Hughes a question, he would make a phone call to some 50, 60-year-old dentist and say, can I bring Howard by Thursday afternoon and watch you do this and use that because he's thinking about buying this, and I know you'd be a good role model for him. And he'd drive me clear across town, so it was that connectivity. So
yeah, and it's also the service thing because if an air compressor goes down and you can call your rep or the company, the technician will come right over. Otherwise, you've lost business for 2 days, and so I think that I agree. Everybody, all the dentists I know are really good friends with their reps.
Right.
So I think that that's a big thing, and I mean, of course, people are going to buy on Amazon because maybe they're looking for a lower price, but I think that all of the big dealers are offering low prices, and then also now the group practices, they get through special markets, they get a very good price.
Yeah, there's a big lawsuit on that. Did you see that put out by the Justice Department?
No, what's going on now?
I just posted it. I don't know what's going on. I'll read it. That was pretty interesting. This was just breaking today. It says it was off of Reuters. U.S. files complaint against 3 biggest dental supply firms. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission said on Monday it has filed a complaint against the 3 largest U.S. dental supply companies, saying they had broken antitrust laws. The FTC said that Benco Dental Supply, Henry Schein, and Patterson companies had conspired to refuse to serve or give discounts to dental buying groups. Reporting by Diane Bartz of, that was that was interesting. I don't know what's going on there. I tried to get all the CEOs to come on the podcast and talk about it, and they go, dude, my lawyer's never going to let me do that. I can talk about anything but that, but I'm not going to come on your show because I know you're going to talk about that. But back to Amazon, when the internet came out it was about 1994 that I was first aware of it. That was when Amazon came out, and social media back then was just email groups like dentist at yahoo.com or dentist at CompuServe, and that's in the early days. And there were these email groups like Root ZX and Generation Next and Internet Dental Forum. And that's where I met like Mike Barr and all these guys. But they said the internet was going to do 5 C's. It was going to commerce, connectivity, commercials, content, and community. And Dentaltown went with community. And I think that even though now it's a generation later, we've gone from baby boomers to millennials, the millennials are still keeping their rep because that rep is the outside human link to their local dental community.
Yeah, that makes sense, of course.
You know, the technology might change from...
You're a small space and you want to talk to some people out there and also see what other people are doing. That makes sense.
But they say in business, everything's got to be faster, easier, higher in quality, lower cost. Do you recommend the single-use burr? I mean, is that lower? Is that faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost?
Actually, we market our diamond as a single-use, but it's really a multi-use because if you autoclave it, it'll work just as well, and a lot of people do. But I think when my father started, he felt that it was really the best because you really do the first time you use it, you get the fastest cut for sure, and it will dull a bit after several uses. But you could use it over, and it's still very, very, very good.
Like how many? How many times?
I guess you could probably use it maybe 4 patients. Probably it depends on the procedure, but it'll last quite a while.
Well, you know, I only single use my root canal files. You know, because when a file breaks, it's stuck in the canal. And even though I can always get it out, it's not pretty, and it takes a long time. Sometimes you got to do an apicoectomy and come up from the bottom. But if a burr breaks, I mean, it's almost never an issue. I mean, it's just almost never an issue. But I'm glad I had you on today because I always thought that autoclaving dulls diamonds and carbides. I always thought that.
Well, I'm not sure about carbides because I'm not, but it just sterilizes them. What dulls them is using them.
Hey, if any homie out there listening knows, Jolie's saying that, you know, she's an expert. She's 3rd generation in making diamond burrs, that it does not affect diamond burrs. If you know anything about does it affect carbides, please start a thread on Dentaltown under dental supplies on burrs because, again, I've podcasted probably every CEO of every DSO that has, you know, more than 50 or 100 offices. And when you talk about supplies, the main issue they have is getting dentists to agree on the burr setups.
Well, I think, though, the single, like, for example, our diamonds are relatively cheap. They're under $2 a piece. So you might as well just use one and throw it away. It's easier and faster. It saves you time, and you're going to get a faster cut. So maybe it's better dentistry just to throw it away. Okay,
so now let's switch over to curing lights. We've talked about diamonds are a girl's best friend. We've covered that. Tell us about your knowledge and experience in curing lights.
One of the early curing light manufacturers. We started with the halogen light, and then we were one of the first LED curing light manufacturers. And we started out with the corded one, and then we manufactured several cordless ones, and we then started manufacturing one that gets directly installed into the delivery system. And then within the last 10 years, there's probably been about 200 lights on the market. So there's a huge, huge range from Chinese lights that are $25 to super expensive lights that are $1,500. So there's a huge range in price and quality. And our curing light is sort of a medium price light. It's sort of like the Chevy or the Ford. It's a very reliable medium price light, but very high quality. It's always going to work. And the problem with buying a cheap curing light is you don't really know if it's going to how long it's going to last. you don't know if actually the power is what they say it is. You don't know what type of lens they use. So there's a lot of reasons not to use a cheap light. But, it just depends on what type of dentistry you want. If you want something reliable or not.
Well, when I bring on experts in adhesive dentistry and cosmetic dentistry and whatever, and you start asking, why do posterior composites fail? First thing they say every single time is the curing light. And a lot of dentists will have a curing light go weak or bad or under cure and doesn't even know it for a year.
Yeah, they don't know. Also, a cheaper light, like for example, our light, when the battery diminishes, it's not going to diminish power. It's going to have the same amount of power. So that's important. And also, there's different lenses. Like we have our lenses specially cut, and so they're super high quality lenses, and that's directing the lights. And some of them, it depends on how many LEDs that they have inside. There's a lot of difference in the lights. So it is important to have a good light, even though you can buy one and it will cure, but you don't know the quality of the curing. The other thing about curing lights is that some of these cheaper lights say, oh, we're 200 or 2,000 milliwatts, and nobody wants that. It's 1,200 is perfect. If you're going to get too high power, you're going to get shrinkage with the composite, and you're going to burn the pulp in the mouth. It's just, they're not even safe. You're going to have a lot of heat. So it's all a marketing thing. This 1 second cure, that's just impossible.
So you started with halogen, now you're LED. Do you still sell halogen?
No, we don't sell the halogen, but we still sell the corded light, and believe it or not, a lot of people still like the corded one, and we sell them to some of the universities like the corded one.
Huh.
I know. Well, you think nobody wants a corded light anymore, but
well, those who can do, and those who can't teach. So it doesn't surprise me that the dental schools are using cords. They don't have an overhead that they have to meet every day to pay all the bills. But cordless just seems so much a better deal. So what's your star cordless light? What's your hottest?
Well, our light is the best seller is called our TCCL2, which is a silver cordless one, and it's a little bit different than most of the lights on the market because it's all metal. It's made of aluminum, and we don't have any glass rod in the light. The LED is actually in the head of the light, and so there's no glass to travel up, so it's quite powerful. But what's the really nice part of it is that it has no glass rod, so when it drops, there's nothing to chip or crack or break. So it's very durable. And
so if the assistant gets mad and throws it at my head, it's not going to break?
Really,
nice.
It's not going to break.
Nice.
And also they drop, and then people come with a little glass rod, and it's chipped and broken, and so it's very.
You know what the most expensive drop is in the room?
Tell me.
The X-ray sensor. Ooh. I mean, those things are so much money, and they get dropped all the time because you got a cord from that sensor to the machine, and just whatever.
Oh wow! You must just go wow.
Yeah, whatever happens. I mean, I see it bounce off the floor once a month. I mean, it's just it's wow. Never going to go away. And I also like the fact on your website, which is springhealthproducts.com. By the way, I always retweet my guest website to my 25,000 Twitter followers, but I don't see any social media. Do you have a Twitter account?
No, we're really slow in that. We're sort of under the radar. So that's my next thing to get the Twitter.
I get Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Well, LinkedIn, I have 3,000 people, so I'm getting better on the LinkedIn. But we've been a little bit slow, but we're going to do that within the next month. So we'll have a Twitter account and a Facebook account. So we would love everybody to follow us and friend us.
Pinterest is 95% women. So it's a great place to market to women dentists. And women love women role models, so I think that'd be a unique selling proposition for you. Say, come on, girls, let's check out my diamonds. They're a girl's best friend. That should be your deal. Jolie Lieb says, Spring Health diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Okay. And I think isn't it true there's about 50% of women are dentists now?
Yeah. So when you go to when your dad started the company, you went to the 20 richest country. All the men were in all the professions where there's money. So all the med students, dental students, law students, they were all men. But when you go around the world, just like where there's no money in it, it's always women. Like in America, there's no money in teaching. So it's all women. So when I go to Africa, Asia, Latin America, where there's no money in dentistry, like if you go to Kathmandu, Nepal, well, a man's not going to go into dentistry. They're all women. The men will go into government, military, business, whatever. Men only show up if there's money involved. And if there's no money involved, there's no men. I mean, that's just the rule of thumb. But now, the dental schools are pretty much 50-50 men and women. So it's a great change.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I think they're going to be amazing because I know this is sexist or racist or whatever, but I just think women have maternal instincts and they have more empathy and sympathy. I watch that with my 4 boys. You know, they'd play with me, love me, everything would be great. But if they fall down and hurt themselves and cried, they'd run clear around me to mom. I mean, the minute they were in pain, I was invisible. They wanted mom. And so, you know, I just think women, I think they have, and also about 95% of all healthcare appointments made, according to Regina Hertzlinger, PhD medical economist at Harvard University, who we get to podcast next week. I've read all of her books. I'm so excited about that. Women make all the appointments. And when a woman doctor tells a woman something, she's 10 times more likely to ask questions and engage. When a man tells you something, they're more likely to just say, okay, do you have any questions? No. Then when you leave, they turn to the assistant and the hygienist who are women and ask them all the questions. And we've seen, you know, when I was a little boy, all the gynecologists were males. Now they're all girls. We're seeing that in pediatric dentistry. You know, I'm in, you know, several dental schools a year, and when I'm in those pediatric residency deals, they'll have like 6 students. They're all women. I think I only saw 1 man in a pediatric residency program in the last several years. So I think pediatric dentistry will be the first profession to follow gynecology and just go completely female. Mom's taking the kids in, and she don't want to talk to a man.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. By the way, you have perfect teeth. You are, is that 3rd generation dental teeth?
Veneers done by my cousin who's a dentist in Philadelphia, Ernie Delheim.
Nice. They look just completely perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'll tell him. He's also teaches at Temple University Dental School.
Oh yeah, so what do they got there? They got Temple and
they have Temple. They have Penn.
Are those both in Philadelphia?
Yeah, right in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and then how far is Philadelphia from New York City? In a car.
Philadelphia is in a car. It's about 2 hours in a car.
2 hours.
And it's like an hour and a half on the train.
My favorite deal of when I'm lecturing in Penn or Temple or Philadelphia is the Norman Rockwell Museum right downtown by the Liberty Bell. Have you ever been there?
I've never been there. I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, you know, it's like dentists always telling me what they love the most about Phoenix, and it's like they'll say, "What resort do you recommend?" It's like, dude, I have a house here. I've never stayed at a resort in Phoenix. I don't know all the tourist traps, but yeah, right down by the Liberty Bell. Right across the street from it is the Norman Rockwell Museum, and my God, that is I love that area. Just absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's a nice city. It's a nice city.
So what else did you want to talk about on lights?
Well, lights.
By the way, your picture on LinkedIn, is that you in a jet?
No, it's a little airplane. It's my friend's airplane.
Okay, but it's an airplane. Okay. So I knew I knew it was a plane or something, but that's...
I know my friends tell me I better change the picture, so...
Why change the picture?
I don't know. They're like, you've had the same picture for a long time.
No, that's a damn cool picture. I thought you... And then when you told me that you live in Philly, but you're going to be lecturing from Milan. I told Ryan, I said, I bet she flew there in her own jet from her LinkedIn picture.
That plane was my friend's plane. It was I was petrified flying in. It's the smallest little thing you ever saw.
My craziest small airplane story is I was lecturing in I think it was San Bernardino, and then the next day was in Bakersfield, California. And this dentist there named Chip Castine went to my seminar, and he couldn't go to the next day. He was in Bakersfield, and he said, hey, how you getting to Bakersfield? And I said, well, I'm going back to the airport and flying. He goes, well, I flew here. I have my own plane. He goes, screw that. Just come get my plane, and we'll just fly back. And I thought, well, that's cool. So he went to the airport, got his plane, and we took off. And then he put his hands back behind his head. And I said, dude, what are you doing? He said, dude, you better grab that wheel or we're all going to die. And that was so damn funny. That was the craziest ride. But so your friend's got an airplane?
Yeah.
So do you? Yeah.
Now he has a family, so they don't use it so much.
I got two more serious questions about your light curing deal. So the main thing is the light goes bad, you don't know it. So you have a spring radiometer where you have a deal that checks the power.
That radiometer, it just got best product from CR, from Gordon Christensen CR.
From Gordon Christian? So
yeah,
how much did that cost?
It's about $120, I think.
And if you tell them you heard about it on Dentistry Uncensored, it's actually free. They'll just send it to you free of charge. But so it's $120.
You know what? Actually, $120. I do run a promo at some of. I think maybe I'm running one. Maybe one of the big dealers, Schein or Pat, where you buy a light and you get the radiometer free.
And then, speaking of Gordon Christian, who he gave you, what award did he give you?
He gave us, well, for our diamonds, he gave us best product, and he loves them. And he just gave this one in his last best products thing, a best product.
Well, you should post that on Dentaltown, on your thread.
Okay.
You should just flaunt it. And
all right.
But here's another thing from Gordon that I have to ask you about, because you also sell an orange shield eye protection. And we're always told we can't look at the light, but you and I are both Gordon Christian fans.
You see how ours is only this big. It fits on the front of the light.
You know what Gordon says? And Gordon, he's just always right. I mean, the guy's he's almost right. But he talked to an eye doctor, an ophthalmologist, scientist guy. And he said when you're up there in Utah, Gordon's up in Provo, Utah, when you're up there at a ski resort, when you're at 14,000 feet and the sun's beating on that white snow and you're out there skiing for 8, 9, 10 hours, he said looking at that curing light is nothing. He said you want eye damage, go skiing. And this ophthalmologist, when Gordon totally explained to him, showed him everything, the whole curing lights, he goes, dude, he says that's a non-issue. And it's kind of like the mercury deal. I call bullshit on mercury, these anti-amalgam dentists, because they just won't answer the simple question. Mercury in a filling, it's half mercury, and the other half is silver, zinc, copper, and tin, and it's bond into this inorganic rock that if you swallow it, a day later, you pass it, you can rinse it off, weigh it, it's the same amount. But when you burn coal, and it goes into the atmosphere, and it falls down into the ocean from 1950 was 1 part per million mercury. Now it's 4 part per million, but the mercury settles to the bottom, and it's eaten by all the fish on the bottom, like shrimp and all this. And it's ethyl and methyl mercury, which is completely absorbable. And then I talked to a neonatal scientist at University of Tucson who has done all this fetal research, and he says all the mercury in the brain is from eating seafood. Period. End of story. And so these dentists that are against amalgam and take them all out and replace them with composite is telling me this at dinner while his appetizer is 6 shrimp and a sauce. And then he's ordering big fish like salmon and tuna, which drink gallons of water at a time. And in fact, the Centers for Disease Control wanted to put a warning that pregnant women should not eat fish, but America, money's the answer. What's the question? And the big money people got our congressmen and the senators to stop that. They
Oh
also
yeah,
they also can't report on the increase of suicide by gun ownership because the NRA has gotten their lobby to basically. I mean, it just makes me so upset that our colleagues at the Centers for Disease Control, 14,000 people, are not allowed free speech because when you're thinking about buying a gun, well, if you got a kid who's depressed, you got a kid who's sad, I mean, you just really raise their suicide rate. Our next, I don't want to say, but someone close in this neighborhood on our street that happened. And, you just,
so
but
sad.
so the mercury thing is bullshit, and Gordon thinks the curing light does not hurt your eyes. What do you think of that?
I'd say our little shield is so small. I would say 90% of the people who buy our light don't even bother using the shield. It comes with them, and it's a replaceable. You can order a few for like $15 if you want replaceable ones. But what they should use on the curing light, which they don't use, are the barrier sleeves.
Right.
I think it's a good idea to use them. A lot of times, one of the biggest repairs we get is that the lens is either covered with composite or covered with blood.
Right. And
one of the FDA rules is that whoever opens the repairs, they have to wear gloves when they open them up.
And I'm bald and I'm Irish, and every time I pull 4 wisdom teeth, when I go into the bathroom, afterwards, I always see little drops of red blood on my head. So that stuff is splashing all over the place. And,
yeah, so I mean, you can just disinfect the light, but a lot of times people don't, and so it's a good idea to use the barrier sleeves when you use the curing light.
And the reason the barrier sleeves, you're making a great point, and there's 3 points in that, is 30 years ago, when people were getting food sick at a restaurant or a dental office or whatever, it was hard for anybody to track it down. But now, with DNA sequencing, when people are showing up and they start saying, they can go back and say, these guys all got it from this restaurant. These people all got it from a dental office. And we were talking about lights not working and not testing because they don't buy a $120 device that you sell to test your light. They also don't check their autoclave. And there are some really good old boys that were thrown under a bus in the last couple of years, all over the newspapers, social media. It was all over Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. And I knew these guys, and I knew other guys that knew these guys. And it's like, this was just like the all-American boy, great office, 10, 20, 30 years. And they do a complete bankruptcy because they didn't know their autoclave had broken down. They weren't testing protocol. And when 7 or 8 people end up with hepatitis and someone needs a liver transplant, I mean, you're just shut down. And so, yeah, sleeves on the lights, testing your autoclave, testing your composite light. Again, I've done 1,000 podcasts, and every damn cosmetic composite adhesive dentist expert, when I ask them, what are the top 3 problems with composites? Number 1 is always the light. It's not working. It used to work. It died. Dentist doesn't know it. He might not know it for a year or 2. And then he's sitting there thinking that, this composite's causing sensitivity. Maybe I should change my bonding agent. And it's like, dude, maybe your light doesn't work.
All they have to do is get a radiometer, and they could just have one in the office and use it for every light.
Yeah. So you also sell handpieces.
We sell some handpieces, yeah. We're actually developing a new hand. We have some handpieces. We're not a big handpiece maker, but we sell a few. It's actually the one that we have there was evaluated by Reality. It got 4 stars. It's a nice light. But my brother has just developed a new electric handpiece, which we just got a patent on, and we're going to probably start doing something with that that's a little bit different.
So, tell us about that. So, you're in Italy. Are they mostly air handpiece driven, or are they electric?
I think there's a lot of electric ones, but I think mostly air.
The main thing that Michael Miller changed my world, he rocked my world when I was visiting him in Houston, as he, back to these composites things. He says, Dennis, hell, they don't even read instructions. So like this bonding agent will say brush on for 15 seconds, but the dentist doesn't have a timer. And then every time Mike's in that office, he's timing behind him and they brush on for 5 seconds. And then he took us to Extracted Tooth. Another guy that did this to me was Ultradent's Dan Fisher. Dan took me in his lab and he said, okay, here's my bonding agent. Here's 10 extracted teeth, shaved off. I want you to scrub this on for 5 seconds on these 5. And then like my instructions say, 10 seconds on these 5 teeth. And then let's bond them. And then let's take the machine. And oh my God, when you follow the instructions, everything works twice as good. And Michael Miller was the one who made me go put a stopwatch in every damn room, so you can sit there and say, okay, hit, and you're curing. Say you want to cure for 10 seconds, or say you want to brush the bonding agent. If you're not measuring it, you're not managing it.
Well, our curing light, which is nice, it has a beep every 2 seconds, but it also has a programmable timer between 20 seconds and 2 seconds, so it'll turn off automatically, and you can program it, and the timer's built in for however long you want to do it for, so it makes it really easy.
Huh, nice. Well, my gosh, I'm trying to think, is there anything I wasn't smart enough to ask you?
Wow, you know everything. Well, I just would love anybody to try our stuff. I'd love to give anyone samples if they want to reach out to me.
How do they reach out to you?
Well, I'm a member of your. I'm a
You're a townie.
Yeah, so they can send me a message, and I'd be happy to send them diamond burr samples to test our products out and see how they like it.
And does your your website is springhealthproducts.com.
Yeah.
Where is there a contact on there? Yeah, contact us.
I can give you my direct email, and if anybody wants to, we have on the website it says customer care at springhealthproducts.com, but they can contact me at Jolie, Jolie, at springhealthproducts.com, and just let me know what they want, and I'd be happy to send them a sample.
So was your mom an artist or a hippie? Instead of going with Julie, she went with Jolie, so you'd be a unique hippie artist and have to... Do you wish you were Julie, or are you glad she went with Jolie?
When I was a child, it was difficult because people didn't have sort of different names, but now everybody does, so it's fine.
I read in the book Freakonomics that in the state of California, there are over 280 different spellings of the word unique as a name.
Oh, gosh. Well, no, my grandfather was called Joseph, so they wanted a J, and I have no idea.
That's what it is. It's Joseph. It's Jolie. That's very cool. I like that. So you're Jolie at springhealthproducts.com. She's third generation. I hope you all learned about the plight of the dental assistants. You're stressing them out. Dental assistants should not leave the room during a procedure if you want to be faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost. Figure out your burr blocks. We just learned today that autoclaves don't dull your burrs. You can use them 4 or 5 times. And Jolie, I think you are amazing. Do you think the dental economy in Europe and the United States is healthy and growing? Or, the one thing I've learned, I'm 55. When I got out of high school in 1980, I mean, God, it's 21% interest rates. Paul Volcker was breaking inflation. We had double-digit inflation, unemployment. Then I got out of school May 11, 87, October 87, that horrible crash. And then there was the internet bubble that crashed March of 2000. Then we had this last bubble, the Lehman Brothers in 2008. So in my walnut brain, it's like every 10 years, there's a damn disaster. And it's been 10 years since the last crash of 2008. Now it's 2018, and the markets are getting jittery. You went to the London School of Economics. Do you think the dental economy of Europe and the United States is solid and growing, or do you think it's volatile and in a dangerous predicament?
Well, I think it's gone into group practices for sure in America, but I think that people are really concerned about their health a lot more than they used to be, so they're going to spend money on it. But of course, the economy is half bubbles, so people will stop maybe getting cosmetic work for a bit, but they'll go back.
So, and how old was it from your father starting Star Dental to now? How is it reached a century or how long?
His father started Star Dental, but his father died when he was 19. So Star Dental's a 100-year-old company now.
What year was it? 1918?
No, I think Star Dental was about 1916, probably.
1916, so it's 102.
It's probably, but then Star was sold when I was growing up. My father sold Star because it was a family company, and then he had a non-competition for many years, and then many years later he started Spring Health Products.
Nice.
So,
well, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you. I wished Ryan would have told me you'd been in Milan, Italy, and then I would have had you send me your private jet and fly me to Milan, Italy, like the one in the picture. Ryan, I could have flown in a jet.
He told me he's never been to Italy.
My gosh. Oh, me? Oh, Ryan hasn't been to Italy?
Yeah, I said I'm sure your father has for sure.
Yeah, I could take all my boys when school was out, but when school was in, usually I would only take like one. But the last time I went to Italy was with I took my oldest boy Eric, and we lectured in Venice. And
nice.
my God, he absolutely fell in love. And what I think was the neatest thing about Venice is, when you grow up eating Mexican food in Arizona, when you drive 1,000 miles into Mexico and order, a hard taco and an enchilada, they don't even know what you're talking about. I mean, it's all turns into seafood and all that stuff. And it was so funny in Venice. I thought, well, America's, we were built on Italian, so I'm sure our Italian food tastes just like their Italian food. Oh my God, it wasn't even close, and theirs was 10 times better. And I was sitting there eating at these Italian restaurants. I'm like, what happened to our Italians? Do we need a fresh group of Italians to migrate to the United States? Say, hey, you guys kind of lost the recipe. Your great-grandmother has been gone a century. But, I mean, like the lasagna, you could eat it with a spoon. The food was exquisite. And Eric still says this day that nobody who's never been to Italy has ever had Italian food.
Now, the food, and every region it's different. The food is wonderful.
Yeah.
The food is and also the funny thing is the Italians are so into aesthetics, the way they look, and the offices. You've never seen furniture and offices look like they do in Italy, and they have their uniform matching the chair, and it's very they're beautiful. I never saw offices like that.
Well, again, Jolie, thank you so much for coming on the show today and educating us all on burs and handpieces and curing lights. I had an honor to podcast you, and I hope you have a rocking hot day.
Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure for me, too.